Have you ever seen this happen? Two people apply for the same job. They have similar skills, similar experience, but one of them looks just a bit more polished, more photogenic, more right. And somehow that person gets chosen before saying much at all. Or maybe you've heard a child being praised, not for being kind or clever, but simply because they're cute or fair-skinned, as if that alone made them more lovable. We talk about beauty like it's just a personal trait, but in practice, beauty functions more like a social advantage. It's a fast pass, a kind of invisible privilege. Not something we formally acknowledge, but something we all seem to respond to. In daily life, at work, in dating, in classrooms and interviews, beauty quietly shapes outcomes. People who are considered attractive tend to be smiled at first. They're listened to more, trusted faster, and even forgiven more easily. Psychologists call this the halo effect, a cognitive bias where one positive trait, like appearance, leads us to assume unrelated positives: intelligence, kindness, competence. And the problem is, beauty isn't distributed fairly. Some people are born closer to what society sees as ideal. Others are not, and have to spend time, money, and emotional energy just to compete. In that sense, beauty becomes a kind of currency, something that can be invested in, and something that can pay off. Even in professions where looks shouldn't matter, they often still do. A news anchor, a teacher, a software engineer. If they're attractive, they may be taken more seriously, even before their work is reviewed, which leads us to a deeper question. How are we really evaluating people? By skill, by character, or by surface? And if beauty gives someone power, we also have to ask, who gets left out of that equation? Beauty as an invisible power. We often joke that beautiful people have it easier. But what if that's not a joke? What if it's just true? In modern society, beauty is more than personal preference. It acts as a form of unspoken power, a privilege that isn't listed in resumes but still opens doors. Take a moment and look around. At restaurants, in offices, in classrooms, people who are perceived as attractive tend to receive better treatment. They're greeted more warmly, offered help more readily, and assumed to be more capable, even before they speak. In hiring processes, for example, applicants with more appealing profile photos are more likely to be called back for interviews, even when their qualifications are identical. In school, teachers may unconsciously assume that well-groomed or conventionally attractive students are better behaved or more hardworking. In dating apps, profile pictures are everything. It's not your values, your voice, your humor, it's your face within seconds. Here's the thing, when beauty becomes a social shortcut, those who don't fit the mold are silently filtered out, not by rules, but by bias. No one says, "You're not attractive enough to be hired." Instead, they say, "We're looking for someone with the right image," or "She just has the right vibe," which sounds harmless, but functions like a gate, a quiet gate that lets some people in early and keeps others waiting at the edge. Because in this system, beauty behaves like soft power. It doesn't push, it doesn't shout, but it shapes outcomes all the same. And if you're not born with it, you may feel the pressure to earn it, to buy it, to build it, to reshape yourself until you fit what the world wants. That pressure, it's not vanity. It's survival in a system that rewards appearances more than we admit. Who decides what's beautiful? We talk about beauty standards as if they're natural, as if they've always been there. But have we ever paused to ask, where do these standards come from? And who benefits from them? The truth is, beauty isn't universal. It's not fixed. It's not neutral. It's constructed, built by media, shaped by culture, amplified by industries that profit from our insecurity. In the West, for decades, beauty meant thin, white, and young. Blue eyes, symmetrical features, straight hair. That image wasn't chosen by nature. It was marketed by magazines, movie studios, and advertising giants. In South Korea, the ideal face includes a small jaw, pale skin, and double eyelids, features so narrowly defined that plastic surgery became a cultural norm, especially for young women entering the job market. In India, light skin is still favored, a legacy of colonialism and caste hierarchies, reflected in film, TV, and even wedding ads. Across much of Latin America, Eurocentric features are still centered, despite the population's rich indigenous and Afro heritage. And in global pop culture, even today, those who appear in lead roles on billboards or in fashion campaigns still often represent only a narrow slice of human appearance. So we have to ask, is beauty reflecting what's common, or is it reflecting who holds the most power to publish, promote, and repeat their own image? Because when one kind of face is shown over and over, our brains begin to accept it as normal, not because it's better, just because it's familiar. That repetition creates exclusion, not by insult, but by omission. If you don't fit the image, you might not be criticized. You might just be invisible. Not in ads, not in compliments, not in definitions of what's desirable. And when that happens long enough, you stop asking to be seen. You start wondering whether you ever belonged in the picture to begin with. Who gets left out of the picture? We talk about beauty all the time, but rarely do we ask, who's being left out? Because when society uplifts one version of beauty, everyone else quietly becomes not enough. Not because they did anything wrong, but simply because they don't match a template they never chose. Dark-skinned, you're told to brighten. Curvy, you're told to shrink. Angular features, soften them. Wider nose, refine it. No one says it outright, but the message comes through. In stares, in silence, in suggestions, in who gets praise and who gets overlooked. And it starts early. Children pick up on it before they understand it. A child who's never called pretty might begin to assume they're less likable, less valuable. By the teenage years, beauty becomes a kind of social currency. Those who fit the mold gain visibility, popularity, affection. Those who don't often face teasing, isolation, or the quiet ache of being ignored. As adults, the pattern persists. Jobs, dates, friendships, respect, still subtly shaped by appearance. People outside the standard often find themselves overcompensating, working harder just to be taken seriously, smiling more to seem likable, minimizing themselves physically, emotionally, just to fit in. And the toll adds up. Some turn to cosmetic procedures, harsh diets, filters, anything to shift their image closer to what's accepted. And yet, when they do, society turns again. Why are you insecure? Just be natural. Don't change yourself for others. It's a double bind. You're excluded for not fitting in, then criticized for trying to fit in. This isn't just about beauty, it's about belonging. About the silent rules that decide whose faces are welcome and whose are invisible. What can we do? If beauty standards keep changing from place to place, from decade to decade, then how real are they really? If one era praised curves and another demanded bones, if one culture valued fair skin and another prized a tan, then isn't beautiful just a moving target? If you've ever felt like you weren't beautiful enough, maybe you weren't wrong. Maybe the standard you were measuring against was never meant to include you. In recent years, some progress has been made. The body positivity movement has pushed back. We've seen models with disabilities, plus-size representation, natural hair, unfiltered skin. Some media outlets are rethinking the template. Some brands are choosing diversity on purpose. But it's not enough. Because the real shift happens when beauty is no longer a prerequisite for being heard, respected, or included. This isn't about saying beauty doesn't matter. It's about saying you shouldn't have to earn dignity with your appearance. So what can we do? We can start small. We can stop evaluating people by their profile pictures. Stop using appearance as a shorthand for character. Stop teaching children that you're so pretty is the highest form of praise. And most importantly, we can start asking ourselves, who defined beauty in my mind? Do I actually believe it? Or did I just inherit it? Because if beauty standards can be constructed, they can be deconstructed. Not through shame, but through awareness, through language, through the choice to see worth beyond symmetry. In the end, maybe beauty was never supposed to be a gatekeeper. Maybe it was meant to be just one way among many to express humanity.